Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Jason Mackey's First 10, a short version podcast talking all things Pittsburgh sports. Today is Tuesday, September 24th, and well, we're a couple days out from a Steelers victory. They're 3-0. Going to get into some reasons why that is, why maybe we should believe in the Steelers. Pirates start, I should say, their final homestand of the year, welcoming the Milwaukee Brewers into PNC Park, and the Penguins kick off their home preseason schedule as the Buffalo Sabres arrive. Going to get into a few different things. Want to remind you, though, that this show is brought to you by Edgar Snyder and Associates. If you're injured in an accident, you're probably wondering, what's next? For over 40 years, Edgar Snyder and Associates has helped injury victims answer that question. Whether it's gathering evidence, collecting medical records, or dealing with insurance companies, Edgar Snyder and Associates has helped over 75,000 people handle what's next. Call 1-800-494-EDGAR or visit edgarsnyder.com for a free consultation. And remember, there's never a fee unless they get money for you. All right, so I'm actually start with the Penguins today. I was out there yesterday and I wanted to talk a little bit about their power play. It's the subject of a column that I have on our website right now, and I think it could be a reasonably a pretty big swing, I should say, a turnaround for this group. I don't think they're anywhere near as bad as what they showed last season. One conversation in particular stood out to me yesterday. I saw Eddie Johnston up at UPMC Lemieux Sports Complex. EJ, for anybody who doesn't know, is just one of the best, most fascinating people around the Penguins. I would liken him to Steve Blass on baseball, but any conversation with EJ is a good one. And he's a renowned power play expert. Has been that way for years since he was coaching. Was actually friends with a guy with the Boston Celtics. Blanking on his name right now, but it's in the column. But even when I saw him yesterday, I was chatting with him and said, "Hey, can I ask you about the power play?" He starts talking about, I learned how to set picks. We a lot of movement, a lot of picks. And EJ has a funny way of talking. I can't necessarily imitate him, but that's kind of what we saw yesterday as the Penguins practiced the power play for the first time. Top unit was fairly predictable. Erik Karlsson was out, so you're looking at Sid, Gino, Rickard Rakell, got some time on there. Brian Rust as well, and Kris Letang was quarterbacking it. But I think it's somewhat personnel, it's somewhat scheme. And I do expect when the season starts that Michael Bunting is going to be in that bumper spot. He was very good. But right now with Karlsson out, you maybe want to take a look at some other things. Rickard Rakell, again, is somebody who I really think could be a part of this thing. And one of the things EJ was telling me about was having a right shot in the left circle, something that the Penguins lacked. They had a lot with Phil Kessel, obviously. Haven't really replaced it. I don't know if Rakell can be that guy steadily. Maybe Karlsson becomes that guy. I don't know. I think they can experiment with a lot of different things, but I think the idea is to get a little funkier with personnel, to try some things. I think David Quinn, the new assistant coach in charge of the power play, has been amenable to that. But again, it can't be a stagnant diamond formation like it used to be. We saw it more fungible yesterday, almost to the point of like sort of convening in the center of the ice and then players breaking off in various capacities. We saw them floating, and I think there's going to be some refinement necessary there. You don't just want to all come together and then burst out and then freelance. Nobody knows what each other's doing, but there's different ways to get creative inside of that. I'll be curious to see where they go. One thing I didn't realize until looking it up yesterday, Erik Karlsson has quarterbacked a top 10 power play just once in 15 years. That was a little bit concerning to me, and that stat is in the store. The 2018-19 Sharks, they were sixth at 23.7%. Makes me think a little bit about using Karlsson differently on the power play, and I think he has some strengths. As a player, he's very creative, can freelance. Sometimes that gets him into trouble, but I think that also tilts the ice in the Penguins' advantage. 5-on-5, that means one thing. The power play, it kind of means another. You want guys to be predictable for one another. That's a Mike Sullivan line. And maybe that means Kris Letang is a better option at quarterback. Maybe that means Erik Karlsson might be a better option in the left circle. Again, I'm not sure. I'm not going to pretend to have all of the answers on September 24th, but I do know that they need to try some things. I think they're aware of it. And please check out my columns for some other insight in there. As far as the game tonight, some of the things that I'll be looking for, I think I'm going to be over at the ballpark. I'm still figuring that out. I don't want to not be around the Pirates as they're going to disappear a bit, but there's some stuff to watch here, specifically the bottom six forwards and how those things shake out. I mean, one preseason game isn't going to determine all of that. At the same time, you can watch Cody Glass, Sam Poole, and Blake Lizotte, Kevin Hayes, Noel Acciari, Anthony Beauvillier, some guys trying to earn some time there. It's a little bit step up in terms of roster quality from what we saw in Buffalo the other night. But Cody Glass is a big boy. I was surprised being around him since camp started, just his size and what he might be able to do. Again, a lot of draft pedigree, just hasn't been able to put it all together. I think Blake Lizotte probably has a spot. It's just a matter of, I didn't intend for that to rhyme, just a matter of where that falls. And Anthony Beauvillier is somebody that the Penguins have given a lot of runway to here early in camp. He's working on the second power play, spent some time with Sid. Be curious to see if that translates into games. All right, so I want to talk a little Steelers and Pirates on the other side of our usual break, but first, a message from the Bradenton Area Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Embrace the laid-back charm of island life while sinking your toes in the sand and discovering real, authentic Florida in the Bradenton area. Unspoiled beauty and pristine beaches, a vibrant waterfront downtown energized by local arts and culture, fresh Floridian cuisine with a flourish of rich history, and friendly locals ready to welcome you to this preserved paradise on Florida's Gulf Coast. Plan your visit today at BradentonGulfIslands.com.
And welcome back to First 10. I'm your host, Jason Mackey. We are here in the middle of the morning, Monday through Friday, around 10 a.m., around 10 minutes. And we love talking all things Pittsburgh sports here. Can get into sort of whatever I want. But the Pirates, I'm going to kick off the second segment with that. I was trying to sort of scratch my brain and think about what the Pirates can glean out of this final series. Maybe that would make anybody feel good about next season. And I'm not sure I have a good answer. Sorry. It's very sad. I think what I'm going to be looking at, honestly, is where this record swings. What I mean by that right now, and I'm going to do some math or try to read some math that I just did a little bit ago, but they're 73 and 83 right now, right? Not great. They won 76 games last year. They split their final 6. They're going to wind up with 76 wins. Okay. Let's trace back a little bit further. Remember when the Pirates were 55 and 52? That was in that series in Houston in sort of July 31st. It's all come apart since then, whatever. I didn't realize this. They've lost 31 of 49. They're 18 and 31 since that time in crunch time. That's a .367 winning percentage. Over 162 games, that's a 59 in 103 season. So what you're saying is through basically 50 games, almost a third of the season, the Pirates have been a 100-loss team. Again, these things keep coming up because, well, at the end of the season, we're going to have to talk about progress or hear about progress. And I've been on here and I've written and I will continue to write that there hasn't been progress. There hasn't been enough progress. It should not be acceptable and you can't run it back. I don't think the Pirates, if you want to keep the GM, fine, but that has to be about it. And the only reason I keep the GM is because I think it affects too many other things. If you fire Ben Cherington, it's not even an endorsement. It's like, you're on some very thin ice for next season. Again, Cherington has said Derek Shelton will be back, or he expects Derek Shelton to be back. That's a whole discussion. We'll leave that for another day. But as far as the numbers and the record and that sort of thing, think about this. So they have 6 games left, .367 winning percentage over 6 games. You're basically looking at 2-4. If the Pirates go 2-4, that puts them at 75 wins. That's going to be a real tough sell with 75 wins coming back from 76. And you're going to try to tell me that you've improved, that you've made progress. And again, this isn't some crazy leap. I'm not saying if they lose 10 in a row to finish the season. I'm saying if they play at their pace that they've been at over the past 50 games, they'll wind up with fewer wins than they had last year. And again, you can't sell progress in that. You can't sell everything is fine. Our process is good. Whatever. That does not work. So I think that's probably what I'm looking at. Story that was sort of circulating I wanted to touch on just briefly is Ke'Bryan Hayes being shut down with the back issues. They're in a tough spot with him. And I've covered some of this before. I've talked to Ke'Bryan about it. I was the one that wrote the column about the herniated disc and just the magnitude of what he was going through. I think it was kind of underplayed to that point. This is one of the biggest offseason storylines for the Pirates, to get something out of Ke'Bryan Hayes, to get Ke'Bryan Hayes to be the player that he was late last season, once again a Gold Glove defender at third base, and just living his life and doing things normally. This is not an insignificant back issue. Every alarm bell should be sounding at this point, and they need to figure out a way. I mean, I told you and could have told you a long time ago that Ke'Bryan was not going to play again this season. It makes no sense. The only thing that benefits or that can fix what he has right now is rest. I don't even understand. I don't understand why he's lifting or doing, anything at all. Rest, let it heal. That is a huge, huge thing. All right, we'll see what goes on with Ke'Bryan. Again, big storyline this offseason. Another guy to think about too, Endy Rodriguez. I guess we're not going to get the Steelers stuff. We'll push that to tomorrow. But he was shut down for the season as well. Makes me think a little bit about first base and Endy more so behind the plate. This is not the first issue he's had with elbow stuff. And a great arm and a great kid. And I want him to be a part of this thing. But, you are going to have to figure out the catching situation. It could be tied to first base. You're probably going to need to find another position for one or two of these guys to play, meaning Henry, Joey Bart, Endy Rodriguez, whatever, to try to balance it out. Makes me a little bit more amenable to Endy at first base. All right. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. You can get all of this content and so much more from our other Post-Gazette writers and columnists. And we'll be back here same time, same place. Thank you for watching First 10, everybody.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.